Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Terrell here with patreon.com/Jagerbombs. What I wanted to do today was bring you a little bit of a tutorial using the FanShare Sports. We're going to look at the PGA optimizer. We've gone through the site overview. Make sure to go back and check that video if you're not familiar with FanShare overall. But what we're going to do here is look at how I use my own sheet along with the PGA optimizer on FanShare and their tools, and how I build my player pool and then use the optimizer and then tweak that as well, because there's a ton of different options here. So first of all, FanshareSports.com. If you are new, sign up using my code, promo code Jaeger, Jager, or the link in the description below, and they will get 20% off your subscription cost. You can also sign up to patreon.com/Jagerbombs, and every week I have a cheat sheet. I'm going to show you that here in a second, with my top plays, rankings, GPP, cash plays, prize picks plays, bet card. Got article over at DFSR.com. Got a ton of information for you. That's patreon.com/Jagerbombs. Okay, so digging in here over on the PGA product, FanShare, we are going to go to FanShare Pro to start with. This is their main hub. I went over this in the previous video and what all this is, all the research information here. So just looking at the list, I like to sort by Draftkings pricing. And then what I've done here, this is my cheat sheet. So green is my core plays, blue are going to be my secondary/GPP plays. You can see my rankings and bet card here and how I rank those plays. But what I've done here is I've gone and taken all my players that are highlighted either green, blue, or scrolling down yellow, which are going to be my value plays. I've gone and starred them on the FanShare Sports product. So I sort by price and I just kind of follow along with my sheet. Go down, or all the research that I've used throughout here, or however you want to go about it, go and star. So what you're going to want to do, first of all, is not just star all your top plays, because obviously if you star all the players at the top, it's not going to generate any lineups. So what I kind of suggest and how I build my player pool is I start at the top, kind of looking at maybe this 9K and up range. And with that many players, which we have in that range, 16 players, even if we extend that down into the, let's say, the mid 8K range, that's 21 players. So out of those 21 players, I want about 5 or 6 core plays, because this is a no-cut event, so I'm going to be using more of a stars and scrubs. So I want 5 or 6 primary plays up here. Those are the guys in green. Secondary plays, 4 or 5 up there as well. And then I go down to the next tier and I want to take a few out of there. And then I want to come down to the value range, and I want to make sure, because I'm using stars and scrubs, that from about that mid 7K range and down, I want about 5 to 8 players. Generally, this is going to change every single week, but this week, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Obviously, the more players you have, you can spread out your exposure more. I like to have a little bit smaller player pool if I'm playing 20 max, so that if my smaller core of 12 to 15 players, say, does go off, then I'm going to generally have a very good week, versus if my player pool is maybe expanded to 20 to 25 players. That's going to give you a lot less exposure to a lot of players, so that when your core, you're going to need those players that you're higher on to go off a little bit more. So your chances of really capitalizing on your core players going off works a little bit better with a small player pool, but it is a lot more risky. So it all depends on your risk assessment and how much you're willing to go in on that. But for me, this is the way I'm looking at it. So I've highlighted all those players. I've starred them over here on FanShare, and then once you're done starring all the players that you want, that builds your player pool. You come up to the top and you click on build, sends you over to the optimizer screen. They do have a great tutorial here as well. If you want to go check that out, it sends you over to their YouTube channel. But what I'm going to do, I got 20 lineups that I want. Then once I get that, my minimum salary is 49. Now you can expand that if you want to leave a lot of money on the table. You maybe want to expand that down to, say, 48. Maybe lower your maximum salary a little bit to, say, 49.5, something like that. But for this week, I'm fine with it at max salary 50. Then you can go max target average projected ownership, minimum target average projected ownership. So if you're really concerned with projected ownership, you can play with that a little bit. So then the first step here is going to be your first target exposure, because you do need a target exposure for all the players. And it tells you at the top, I'm just going to do auto exposures What I like to use, because I'm not looking at tee times or waves or anything like that, I'm looking at DK points per dollar. So it's going to auto exposure all of these players based on their DK projection from FanShare and their salary, that projected DK points per dollar. And then what you can just simply go ahead with that and generate lineups. You've got 20 in there. It's going to generate 20 lineups for you. You can go, and so your accuracy compared to what your exposures are set to was 90%. You can go ahead now and download that CSV. Remember the name. It's going to be FS-lineups. If you do another one, it's going to be FS-lineups in brackets 1, in brackets 2, so on and so forth, so that when you go to DraftKings and you want to import those lineups, you know what it's called and know where to find that. Generally, like right now, mine go to my folders and then downloads, but you're going to want to make sure that's all set up correctly, so you know where to find that CSV lineup when you do get to the point when you're going to DraftKings. So that's a simple way to do it. That's auto exposures. I go a little bit further, and what I like to do is, so if you wanted to go stars and scrubs, here's another thing you can do. You can click on stars and scrubs. So what you see is 60% exposure to all of these top guys. It cuts all the middle guys down, the mid-range, and then it gives you 40% exposure to all the lower-end guys in your player pool. So then we can hit generate lineups, and we get full stars and scrubs here. I like to take it a little bit further. So where I'm going to start is I'm going to go back to DK points per dollar. And my favorite play this week, if you read my article over at dfsr.com or see my rankings, is Justin Thomas. So I'm going to crank him up to 50% in 20 max. That's going to give me a projected 10 lineups with Justin Thomas in there. I'm going to sort these by price. So we got 50% to him. Morikawa, I'm a little bit lower on in the top, so I'm going to go like 5% to him. Schauffele, I'm pretty high on. Hovland, pretty high on him as well. And then we're going to go down to 30. Now, what you're going to notice as you're manually adjusting those now, if you scroll up to the top here, two things. First of all, your total exposure of all players must be 600. Current value is 617. So I need to lose 17% within all these numbers. I'm going to lower Oosthuizen to 30. Now, if we scroll up to the top, we need to lose 10 more. So that's what that means. That's what that correlation is. So I'm going to find some guys that I'm a little bit lower on. Like Higgs, for instance, is going to be like a GPP pivot, so I want to be a little bit lower on him. Vegas at 40, I'm fine with. Brian Harmon, I really like, but I'm going to have him around 30. 30 to Tringali. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to trim all these until I'm happy with it, right? So right now I need to now make up 33. So I'm going to add some more exposure to some of these top guys. And now I can go up to Sam Burns because I said I do like a stars and scrubs build a little bit more. Louis, I'm a little bit higher on as well. Cam Smith will go 35 here. And we'll just keep going back up and check. So we need 5 more. We'll go Neiman up, or actually we're going to go Neiman down to 30, Varner up to 40, Gooch up to 40. Should get us pretty darn close here. We need to lose 1. All right, so we'll just go here, Kokrak 31. So we should be back to that 600. So now I've done custom. It's going to generate 20 lineups. Accuracy is only 82%. The reason for that is the next error message we see. Sum of all player salaries within current target exposures exceeds 50,000, 51,054. You can still generate lineups, but try to stay within the 50,000 for the highest accuracy. So if you want to have higher accuracy of your actual target exposures versus what actually populates 120 lineups, which is that 82% that you see here, what you need to do, obviously, because I am at 5104, means I have too much exposure to the top-end players and not enough exposure to my value plays. So if I was to go and lower Justin Thomas, who's expensive, to 40 and go 30, 30, 30, and then go down to the cheap guys here, let's say we bump them up to 30, 50, 40. I think that gets us to 600. Generate lineups here again. So it generated our lineups. Both of the errors are gone, so that means we're within 50,000. So now we have the correct exposure. How I found this out originally was I didn't have enough. I had too many guys in my player pool that were high priced and not enough guys that were low priced. So then what I did was I went back and did a little bit more research using my sheet along with the FanShare Sports tools, and I grabbed a few more guys. I believe I threw in Harry Higgs and Brian Harmon. So I only added 2 more players in that 6K range into my stars and scrubs player pool. which then had that yellow error message go away. I could create my 20 lineups now. So now that I've got my 20 lineups done, 87% accuracy with my own custom exposures, I can now download that CSV. And as I mentioned before, it's now comma 1 behind the FS dash lineups. So let's just go into DraftKings and enter that. I'm actually going to run this week and test this out. I haven't played 20 max in a while, but I did want to go ahead and do this. So once you get into your DraftKings account, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so we can see this a little bit clearer. So we want to go to create a lineup. Upload lineups. Upload CSV. Mine goes to my downloads. Lineups-1. Once we do that, there's your 20 lineups. They are now loaded into DraftKings. So when you now go back and find, give me just a second here. I'm going to experiment with that. CJ Cup. Let's go. What do we got here? Okay, so we got the 25 cent. That's tiers. We need to get onto classic. 25 cent, and we want a 20 max. That's a 2 max. Here is our 20 max, 25 cent quarter jukebox. That's for Euro. Cheapers. Okay. Here we are. We got the quarter jukebox for the PGA Tour, 20 max. We've already uploaded our lineups. So now when we go in here, we can see we've got all of our lineups with 0 exposure to them. Enter for $4.75. I do have a ticket in there, so I will use that as well. All lineups are entered. So just it's that easy to go ahead and start multi-entering. And I'm just going to make sure my upcoming here. Yep, they are all entered. So it's that easy. So like I said, you can go to auto exposures and you can just optimize by it's using FanShare Sports projections and the DK salaries and giving you a points per dollar projection and just putting an auto exposure. Myself, I mean, that's an easy way to go ahead and do it. I like to personally go in with my own player pool and start adjusting these numbers. This probably isn't going to be my final. I'm probably going to run another 20 lineups to put in the $1.20 max with a little more fine-tuned exposures here with these players. This is a lot more stars and scrubs than I wanted. But I'm going to run that exactly how I did in this video, and I will let you know how that went. So stay tuned to our Instagram at FanShare Sports, as well as at Jagerbombs Fantasy Sports, new Instagram, or on Twitter at FanShare Sports, or myself at Jaeger_bombs9. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, you can also hit me up in the Discord chat. There's a free trial if you want to check us out. Check out the description below. The link is in there that will get you into our Discord and some of our trial member content. Thanks a lot. Good luck this week.